Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Tropical Edition continuing here. We're also going to have your regular forecast. So for those of you that have been waiting for that, I've got it out. But take a look at this. This right here we're looking at is the Invest 95L out here. This is going to be the system we're going to be watching over the next several days. Yeah, this has the potential to not only become a tropical storm, but potentially a hurricane here as it heads towards the west. Yes, definitely looking at this point like we could be looking at a hurricane somewhere in this vicinity. We're going to take a look at all the factors affecting this, as well as the Pacific, all the way to the Western Pacific, and your forecast here for North America as the heat dome expands east, making a very massively warm Labor Day weekend. Let's get into it. So we're looking at Invest 95L. This is the system that's going to be becoming a thing as it heads westward here. There is that big, large area of potential development over the next 7 days. Yes, this system could become very close to the Caribbean islands. Let's take a look. And I wanted to make note, here's what's left of Idalia, post-tropical system, Gert and Katia here. Those systems likely to be fish storms for the most part. All right, so we're starting off here with the European model. I'll transition to the GFS here momentarily, but you can see our big, massive area out here in the MDR. That's with our big tropical disturbances moving westward here, Invest 95L. And as we continue to go in time, you can see we're going to be watching also Idalia here, what's left of Idalia. Not really showing up here. There you go, post-tropical storm Idalia. And then we have what's left of Franklin up here, as well as newly formed tropical storm Katia here. You can see that's going to be a fish storm as well. So let's continue to go in time here. You can see the European model really blowing the storm up initially here towards the 3rd. Let me just zoom out so you can get a good pan here of what this storm's looking like. So the European model, latest run, really strengthening this. This is going to possibly get really close here to the Virgin Islands as well as the Northern Lesser Antilles. This is towards the 8th. You can see as we continue to go in time, European passes it just to the north. I'm going to show you the GFS is a bit farther to the south here. Look at this. This would take it safely just to the north, but you know the margin of error this far out, you're definitely in the cone of uncertainty here. You can see towards the Northern Lesser Antilles. And as we continue to go in time, you can see the European model, it's rounding this area of subtropical high. So whether it comes up here towards Bermuda, maybe the U.S. East Coast, or whether this continues here towards the west remains to be seen, but it's something we're going to have to keep a very close eye on as we head towards September 11th here, the peak, right around the peak of hurricane season. And as we head throughout the rest of the tropics here before we switch over to the GFS, you can see the Caribbean mostly dry except till we get towards Sunday here, later Sunday. There's some showers up towards the Cayman Islands. Parts of Belize, these areas around this subtropical high off the southeast coast of the United States. But as you can see, things are looking fairly dry for the most part. Yeah, it's just going to continue to remain very humid and hot. And here's a little area south of Jamaica here. This is on the 5th. So, yeah, the big story is going to be our Invest 95L system out here, and we're going to continue to watch that. But you can see we do get towards the 7th some showers and thunderstorms across parts of the Caribbean here. That's going to continue as we get that easterly flow, those trade winds with the intertropical convergence zone continuing, pinwheeling these little waves westward into parts of the Caribbean. And the Gulf remains pretty quiet here as we head through the, the short to medium term. So here we go with the GFS. I wanted to show you the latest run here because it's changed a little bit. The GFS showing here the storm becoming potentially a tropical storm as we head into next week. You can see pretty well developed here right around, as we head towards the 3rd and the 4th. So yeah, strengthening pretty rapidly here. Likely to become a tropical storm, say about, I would say the 5th or 6th here. GFS really blasting it upward here, but a little bit weaker than the European model now with this run. Take a look at this as we head towards the 7th and the 8th. It's keeping it a slightly weaker storm, a more southern track affecting, directly more affecting the Lesser Antilles as either a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane. You can see as we head towards the 9th, approaching Puerto Rico here. So, this is a more southerly track than that previous GFS run we had. So, this would continue at essentially keeping it away from the weakness in the subtropical ridge towards the west here. The GFS is maybe kind of hinting towards maybe even the Gulf of Mexico here. So this is something we need to keep a close eye on. Now, I wanted to show you the 6Z, the previous GFS. This has been bouncing around as it will. This is what happens, when we're this far out. This is about 168 hours out. You can see this model run showing a major hurricane. Let me show you there it is towards St. John's and the Virgin Islands here, northern Lesser Antilles. This is towards the 9th. So, yeah, the previous model run, the 6Z runs, are typically showing these major hurricane of this potential system and going a bit more towards the north here, not directly affecting Puerto Rico, and then pushing west of Bermuda all the way up towards potentially, look at that, taking it just off the U.S. East Coast. So this is something, these are trends bouncing back and forth, and I just wanted to show you what was going on with each model run here. So thanks to Tropical Tidbits for the mid-layer dry air analysis here. What's left of Idalia here could actually come up and hit, parts of Nova Scotia here, Newfoundland. So we'll have to keep an eye here. We also have our systems out here. There's our Invest 95L system, and it will be surrounded by dry air initially, you can see, but that becomes a thing of the past here towards September 5th, as it likely will become our next tropical storm. You can see there is all that dry air wrapping around what's left of Idalia by this point. And then look at this big old low pressure forming here where potentially are what's left of our tropical system. So you see mid-layer dry air is going to be a thing here out in the MDR, but I don't think it'll be enough to preclude any of this major development, at least in the medium term. So as we take a look at sea surface temperature anomalies, the Gulf, Caribbean, and look at pretty much the whole MDR here, we're running anywhere from like 1 to 3 degrees above average here. This is crazy. We have a tremendous amount of ocean content heat here to work with, so tropical systems are going to have no trouble developing here. Now, as we get into the tropics, rainfall totals here across the Western Caribbean, it's pretty dry in Jamaica. Cayman Islands this weekend will be picking up about 30 to 60 millimeters, anywhere from 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Jamaica remains really dry, as we can see through the next coming week here. None of these tropical waves look to get in your area. Anywhere from 10 to maybe 25 millimeters, barely an inch to speak of here, maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Even Central America is looking drier as of late, maybe up towards, 35, 50 millimeters in some of these heavier showers, but, that's only about, anywhere from 3/4 to 1.25 inches. That's actually lower than what you normally see. And going over towards the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola, as we go through middle of this upcoming week, it's actually going to be pretty dry in this area, mainly looking at 16 to maybe as much as, 20 millimeters of rainfall. I mean, that's not even an inch. That's like 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So that's pretty low for you. But look at off the screen here. This is Invest 95L, likely becoming a tropical storm by Wednesday, September 6th. So that's some heavy rain coming, so gear up for that. So I wanted to show you these other systems out in the Atlantic. We have post-tropical cyclone Idalia here. Yeah, this system it's actually affecting Bermuda with tropical storm force winds. So as we go in time, our European model shows this system moving in the general direction of Nova Scotia here, and here's Newfoundland. So yeah, as we head towards the 4th, this system could become very close to these areas, but it's likely to meander, become a more remnant low-pressure system, bend towards the west a little bit. Would not be surprised if we get some heavier rain showers towards September 6th into parts of Nova Scotia. Definitely some surf kicking up here, high waves, high seas. So yeah, thankfully, this is not going to be anything tremendously major by this point. So what's left of Idalia will definitely be getting caught up in the westerlies and affecting Newfoundland by September 8th. The rest of these storms out here, Tropical Storm Gert and Katia, will be heading out towards the North Atlantic and slowly fizzling out. So here in the Eastern Pacific, we have a big area of concern into the red zone here. Yeah, we're going to be watching this for development. We got a tropical system that could be developing as we head throughout, September 6th, 7th. Here's the 5th, 6th, 7th. This could become a hurricane. It looks like at the moment it's going to remain a fish storm. No land areas to speak of. Here's the Hawaiian Islands out here, and the high pressure to the north here off the west coast is going to continue to spin this more towards the west and eventually the northwest. So it's probably going to go swing well north of the Hawaiian Island chain. So here is the Western Pacific. We are watching some typhoon action here, Haikui here. This storm is actually going to continue to spread towards the west here. It actually looks like at this time, is going to continue towards the west, towards Taiwan, and strengthen here, 105, 110 mile per hour winds. It looks like the system is going to make landfall in the southern portion of the island here. So that's going to continue west. That's towards later Sunday into Monday. Then it heads towards South China here as we head throughout Monday. So likely weakening to a tropical storm. That's some good news as it continues to become a major rainmaker as we go into the new week here. So that's going to become a thing. I think flooding from this system is going to be very prevalent here across southern China. Now, as we head throughout the Philippines here, things are actually looking pretty quiet as we head towards the first full week here of September. Take a look at that. Yeah, it doesn't look like much in the way of tropical moisture. I did want to show you this little system up here currently. Tropical depression here. This was a storm. Kirogi here. This storm's going to continue to head towards Japan very slowly as we head throughout the next couple days here towards the 4th, the 5th, heading towards southern Japanese islands here. It's just been so incredibly hot and humid here across Japan. This might actually be some welcome rain to maybe potentially cool things off. I know it's not going to help with the humidity, but yeah, that moisture gets trapped over Japan, and we might be looking at a rainy time of it here towards September 6th. So we head all the way up towards Osaka and Tokyo. These areas, Kyoto, looking very rainy as we continue to go out in time here. Look at that. So big double barrel low pressure system as all the way up towards Sendai. Yeah, this system becomes pretty elongated out. And as we head in time here, is there any systems heading further out here? I don't see any at the moment, but look at the big tropical moisture train here towards September 11th as we head across the Philippine Islands. And then we do have other areas of concern up here that we'll have to watch towards Japan towards September 11th. All right, so our mesoscale models, the HRRR and NAM 3 kilometer, they're having some major problems compiling today. So we're going to take a look at the RAP model. It gives us, a more generalized idea of the future radar here. So you can get a sense here of the clouds and where the precipitation will be. This little area up here in the northeast as we head towards later Saturday, I don't think this is going to be materializing. And most of this is stuck in the upper layers. The air mass is way too dry. Yeah, there might be some returns on radar, but not looking at anything major. As we continue to see tropical moisture here in the Eastern Gulf, that's essentially around this area of high pressure you can see here on the isobar. So that's really looking really prominent here. Let's take a look. We're going to see some showers and storm activity around New Orleans as we continue into Sunday here towards 1 p.m. So let's just back that up. That little feature cloudiness here towards 9 p.m. this evening here in upstate New York, into parts of eastern New York and eventually New England. But take a look at this. High pressure continuing to spill across the southeast as well as we head towards 5 p.m. on Saturday, or Sunday for that matter. We're into Sunday here, so right in the middle of Labor Day weekend, showers and thunderstorms continuing here into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and up into Arkansas here. And that's going to spread north as we head throughout the day. Here's 6 a.m. on the Labor Day itself. Yeah, these mesoscale models are showing some showers and storms in the vicinity of New York and Pennsylvania. I don't think this is going to materialize. It's just high pressure. The heat dome is in control, and that heat is going to be spreading eastward as we head throughout the weekend. There's that return tropical flow, though. Humidity will be on the increase from the Ohio Valley south to the Gulf Coast. So here we go, taking a look at Canada. We'll take a look and see if there's any major large-scale systems here. You can see we do have an area of low pressure towards the 5th that's going to be heading on into Quebec here, northern Quebec. There is some showers and thunderstorms here across much of Ontario as we get towards the 5th at 8 p.m. So take a look at that. Yeah, it's going to become a thing here as we go in time. Rainfall, very welcome here across Ontario and Quebec provinces. Looking pretty quiet here for the most part out in Western Canada until we get to about the 7th. We have an area of low pressure here forming across South Central Canada. That's going to continue east, gain moisture, and yeah, we could be looking at some strong thunderstorms here across parts of Central Canada, and that's this area of high pressure pretty much dominating eastern Canada, except for southern Ontario and Quebec, where you'll get some welcome showers here, mainly around that ring of fire, that heat dome, and that's going to continue. Look at some 2 areas of low pressure here forming as we continue to go in time. Look at that, some very inclement weather focusing across, just north of Nova Scotia, mainly Quebec province on eastward here. That's going to continue to go in time. You can see that area of low pressure combining forces with our tropical moisture as it heads out towards the east. So looking a little bit more active here across Canada. That's some great news because you definitely need the rain. I have plenty more weather here. Stay tuned for the rest of my video, but I have a quick announcement here from my affiliate. Take a look at this. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. So as we take a look at our height anomalies here, gives us a good idea of ridge of high pressures. Look at the east being dominated by high pressure. There is a trough, a cutoff low off the U.S. East Coast as we head into, Labor Day week here. But, that's going to be kind of hanging out there. But ridge continuing as that heat dome builds across the east here. And checking out our medium range climate model, the CFS, you can see there's going to be a trough come mid-month here in September, right around the 15th, really digging in across the U.S. East Coast here. So that's going to be interesting how that plays into hurricane season. And that trough really starts to show itself towards the end of the month. Look at this big ridge here in the Gulf of Alaska. Yeah, could we be looking up very stormy conditions as we head towards October 1st? It's looking like the trend is more stormier. So taking a look at the European model here, we'll go beyond our mesoscale model. You can see high pressure pretty much in dominant control here across the eastern part of the United States as we go through our Labor Day weekend here. You can pretty much get the idea here that there's going to be some tropical moisture here along the Gulf Coast on the backside of this high pressure system. Look at most to the east here. We're being dominated by an area of high pressure. That tropical moisture continues to surge here during the daylight hours of Monday and Tuesday here. So we're going to see some showers and thunderstorm activity here. Some of these could be strong to severe and lots of heavy rain as well as we get tropical moisture coming out of the Gulf. We got quite a bit in the way of tropical moisture as we head throughout the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. And those high pressure systems, those subtropical highs remain entrenched. So this pattern of pushing this heat dome further east is likely to continue well into the new coming week here through at least Wednesday or Thursday. So getting into liquid equivalent precipitation here, you can essentially see we are looking at quite a bit in the way of heavy rain here along the Gulf Coast regions. This takes us through early Wednesday. So you can see basically the only areas in the east we're going to be seeing rainfall is going to be here in parts of the south, mid-Mississippi and southern Mississippi River Valley on the order of 1, 2, maybe as much as locally higher 3 inches total. A little bit of some rain here up in northern New York. That occurs, it looks like, mid-weekend here, right around late Saturday, early Sunday, but it's not going to be like an all-day event here. So as we take a look at the heat dome, the rest of your Saturday, it is just going to be hot. That's going to be expanding east. It's holding on to some 80s here into parts of the Northeast. But watch as we head into Sunday here. This is where things really get cranking. 100s all the way up to the Dakotas. That's crazy. And look at this. 90 spreading into the Ohio Valley. Even 90 near Scranton, Pennsylvania. Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, that's going to be spreading east. A Labor Day, Monday, September 4th. Look at this. We're just 90s all the way into upstate New York, parts of New England. It is going to feel like we're going, into the middle of summer, not, towards the end of summer. Look at this, 90s. You start to see the telltale signs, though, of colder air here across the plains. But look at that pushes we're going to be 90s throughout much of the Northeast except for the state of Maine here. So that's going to continue into Tuesday, into Wednesday. That heat just continues to spread east here. We're looking at 90s into the Northeast, upper 90s all the way to the nation's capital, down and through the Carolinas. That heat dome continues to originate here from Texas itself. So Texas is going to continue to unfortunately bake here, and that's going to continue to enforce here as we get into the mid to high 100s. That's crazy. We get a little bit of a reprieve here into parts of the Ohio Valleys. We drop into the 80s towards Thursday and into Friday. Look at that, 75 in Cleveland, 79 and 77 here in Buffalo and Erie and Rochester. So we start still holding on to mid 80s here across parts of the Mid-Atlantic by Friday, September 8th. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Zipper, Susquehanna, River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Take a look at this Saturday through Wednesday. This takes us through the Labor Day weekend. You can't get much nicer as far as sunshine. However, it is going to be a very hot time of it. 82 on Saturday. That's not too bad with a 48. Nice sleeping weather. But look how quickly we start to boil here. We go well into the 90s, towards Labor Day and beyond. We're going to be closing in on the lower to potentially mid-90s. So it's going to be feeling like summer is definitely not over just yet. As always, thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Take a look at my Facebook page at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern to follow the tropics. And if you want to hop over to my Twitter page, it's at Weather Eastern. It's MeteoMark.com. Thanks for joining me. Question or comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification button so you're alerted when a video comes out.